and welcome back to the Get More Sports World Tour Soccer Podcast. I am EJ Carr, and we took a week off last weekend, but all the leagues coming to an end, and Italian Serie A is the only league left in Europe that is going to be playing, but there's so much more to discuss this week, of course, with yet another corruption, with yet another scandal. It's so disappointing. It seems like every 6 months, how often it's another scandal, whether it's a match-fixing scandal, whether it has television rights involvement. Of course, we just discussed this with the Spanish La Liga, what they went through with their last 2 weeks of the season, which they ended up playing, of course, which we knew they would. And, it's so, the negativity that surrounds even all sports, it just seems like there's always a story that people didn't see coming, and yet at the time, as it was going on, we think, there couldn't be anything going on. Everything's on the up, and everybody is very honest and true, and not so much. So, this corruption with FIFA right now is obviously the talk of all the soccer industry. And, we're talking about the U.S. Department of Justice and the Swiss government all working together to arrest 14 different people within the organization of FIFA. Of course, the charges allege that there's been widespread corruption throughout football's governing body for the past, 20 years or so. That's disheartening. It's disheartening. It really does. And also this involves the bids for the World Cup, which, of course, are coming up in Russia in 2018 here pretty soon. And even Putin's coming out saying everybody wants a hand in what we have going on here in our country. The U.S. won't leave us alone, and these people won't leave us alone. Again, it's just horrible. Of course, 2 current FIFA vice presidents were among those arrested and indicted: Jeffrey Webb of the Cayman Islands and Eugenio Figueiredo of Uruguay. Of course, Eduardo Lee of Costa Rica, Julio Rocco of Nicaragua, Costas Takis of Britain, Rafael Escobar of Venezuela, Jose Marina of Brazil. It's just 14 people, 9 football officials, and 5 sports marketing executives were all named in the indictment. And they're all facing wire fraud, racketeering, money laundering, and anything else you want to throw out there. It's horrible. I don't even want to really create a whole show just about a scandal, because there's so many good things going on around football. We like to try and turn a blind eye to it, but at the same token, it's hard to when all you see across ESPN and across every single media outlet that has a soccer or football involvement. This is the talk of what this is what everyone's talking about. So it's hard to not really have it discussed on the show a little bit here. But, of course, former FIFA Vice President Jack Warner said, I am innocent of any of these charges. And Chuck Blazer looks like he's going to be among the 4 who are actually going to plead guilty to a $100 million corruption case. $100 million in bribes. It's very disheartening. It really is. And, and now that the election might be postponed, it looks like they're going to try and UEFA is going to call off the FIFA presidential election, which was supposed to be held with Sepp Blatter, and he was likely to win his 5th term on what it was supposed to be on Friday, but now it looks like they may be postponing that. Of course, Jordan's Ali bin Al Hussein is his only opponent, so I don't know. It's obviously highly likely that Alibaba is going to be able to take over from Sepp Blatter. But, Sepp Blatter has obviously come out saying, I welcome any probe. I have no involvement. I'll actually quote his comment saying, let me be clear, such misconduct has no place in football, and we will ensure that those who engage in all this are put out of the game 100% officially. Obviously, he also was quoted as saying this is a difficult time for football, for the fans, for FIFA as an organization. We understand the disappointment that many have expressed, and I know the events will affect the impact of how everyone views us. And, not good. And so, I definitely don't want to get – because there's, like I mentioned, there's more going on that's good, and it's coming up here June 6th, and it's called the Women's World Cup in Canada. 9 days away. And I just got done actually offering Lauren Sesselman and Christy Rampone, who have been on my main Sportspalooza radio site. I just got done wishing them good luck and good wishes for their cup. Of course, Lauren plays for Team Canada, and Christy Rampone's the captain for the United States team. We've had them both on our air, interviews with them for about a half hour. They're both fantastic personalities. We certainly had a blast with them, so we, of course, want to wish them, I personally want to wish them well wishes since I, follow them on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool that they tweeted back. So thank you very much. So it's cool. I love that kind of stuff. It's they don't have to reply to us, but everyone's cool with us. Our Sportspalooza radio show has certainly taken off. We do host the Into the Cosmos segment over there as well. This week we actually got to talk to a coach. Yeah, Cosmos have a pretty big week as well. I guess I'll get back to that later. But Destination Canada. There's 6 stadiums here going to be hosting all these games. Vancouver's BC Place, of course, is going to be one of them. Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium with a capacity of 56,000 is going to be another one. Winnipeg Stadium will also be there. Lansdowne Stadium in Ottawa is going to be hosting a couple of games at Montreal's Olympic Stadium and Moncton Stadium, which is a very small stadium, very cozy place. They're going to have a couple of games there as well. So it's cool to see the 6 cities that are going to be lined up from east to west coast. I mean, there's plenty of football to be played in the women's game. And, of course, the United States comes in favored so far. Germany not too far behind. And, you better watch out for that French club. They did not allow talk about defense. Yeah, the French women have the edge on defense, that's for sure. If you look through the qualifying stages, you'll find out that they scored a goal on the French club, not exactly easy. So it's, of course, the Americans have come in third ever since 1991 when they had the first one, and first Women's World Cup, and they won the World Cup, of course. Great Britain took home the 1995 title. The women won it again in 1999, 2003, Germany, and backed it up with the 2007 back-to-back World Cup for the women. And, of course, Japan beat the United States last year. 2011, of course, sorry. And you see that French team came in fourth in that 2011. So they're obviously motivated to get back there and try and get in that top 3, which is going to be interesting. Canada. Women's World Cup is so fantastic. The emotions that go into all this kind of stuff. Japan is obviously going to be somebody that everyone's going to be watching out for, of course, as they're looking for their repeat championship. And they're going to be tough to take out, of course. There's a lot going on. It's cool. I actually purchased a Soccer 360 magazine, and it has a beautiful spread. It's kind of stunk that I didn't get to get involved in any of it because, of course, I helped write the World Cup magazine for Brazil, and I really wanted to get involved with writing up some of these articles for the Women's World Cup, but no one really approached me about it, and I was kind of disappointed. So hopefully 2018 I'll be able to get involved with writing for World Cup magazine again, and that's always fun. I mean, it's just what these go through qualifying and all these European clubs that look back is pretty strong. Of course, the Netherlands beat Italy to get in their playoff to get there, so the Netherlands will be in Group A. And if you haven't seen any of the groups yet, Canada, China, New Zealand, and the Netherlands are Group A. Germany, Ivory Coast, Norway, and Thailand are in Group B. Group C has Japan, Switzerland, Cameroon, and Ecuador it is, and the USA is in Group D with Australia, Sweden, and Nigeria. Group E looks rather loaded. Brazil, Korea Republic, Spain, and Costa Rica. That's definitely going to be tough to come out of there. Obviously, Brazil's probably the favorite to walk out of there. We haven't seen many lines yet. The only lines I've actually seen offered so far are just basic World Cup lines who will win the Women's World Cup. But hopefully as the games get closer, we'll start seeing some lines as to who's going to win the group and who's favored to come in the top 2 and advance and all those kind of lines that we get when we do the Men's World Cup. So hopefully those lines will come out. But finishing it off here, of course, Group F, France, England, Colombia, and Mexico, which is also pretty nice group there too. So, it's going to be interesting. June 6th, China's going to be opening against Canada, and it's really going to be an interesting game. I've actually seen some lines already come out. Canada is actually pretty strongly favored over China. And the Netherlands match will also take place June 6th, kicking off the whole entire event. June 7th, Thailand and Norway will be going at it with Ivory Coast in Germany, I should say. And that's just great stuff. It really is. I'm looking forward to it. I know I'll be watching most of these games as long as Fox can get them out there to me. Because that's fun stuff. I assume Fox is going to do a pretty good job of covering all these games this year. How much worse could it be than when ESPN did last Men's World Cup? Okay. I don't even want to get into the coverage of ESPN's World Cup coverage because it's dark. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm certainly not impressed with ESPN's coverage. It just really wasn't. All right, so let's move around here a little bit. Of course, like I mentioned, the North American Soccer League, they have 3 matches left in their spring season. Of course, if you win the spring season title, which is 10 games, you make it to the playoffs and the semifinals, which comes with the fall season campaign as well. The Cosmos are certainly playing pretty well right now. They have 18 points, and they're the only team without a loss. And like I mentioned, I hope you can take the time to check out my Into the Cosmos podcast. If you check my EJ the Rainmaker feed on Twitter, you can see all the posts I've made recently about having Jimmy Maurer on. That we have the goalkeeper from the Cosmos, Jimmy Maurer, on the show. We had Jersey Express for the U.S. Cup that the Cosmos played yesterday. Anderson De Silva came on the show. What a fantastic personality he is. A class act. Him and Chiquinho De Silva both are coaching over there together. And if you don't know who Anderson De Silva is, and I'm not talking about the guys from MMA, that's Anderson De Silva as well. But, these guys don't fight like that. But, Anderson De Silva and Chiquinho De Silva, oh, my goodness. You're talking about, 70 years worth of football knowledge? Yeah. So it's pretty, of course, Jersey Express trying to take on the Cosmos is going to be an uphill battle. And the U.S. Cup, of course, is there were actually quite a few upsets. I don't know if anybody happened to catch that St. Louis ended up taking out Minnesota. We actually had Coach Manny Lagos on our show. On yesterday's show for Into the Cosmos, we talked about because the Cosmos are going to be playing Minnesota this weekend. So we got to sit down with Manny and talk about his his U.S. Cup run, and that came to an end right away. I mean, they went to extra time with St. Louis, and St. Louis ended up getting a red card and finding the goal that actually advanced them. It's going to be interesting. The New York Cosmos are going to be facing the New York City FC MLS club in the next round, and oh boy. Of course, for some of you might remember, the Cosmos took on the Red Bulls last year in the fourth round of the World Cup and took them down. So personally, of course, I'm with I do a lot of stuff for the Cosmos. I'm in their press, all their stuff. I got everything released to me, and I've spoken to Coach Gio numerous times about the U.S. Cup. I've probably spoken with him 7 or 8 times over the course of the year at his press conferences, at media day, and all the stuff that we get to approach them with. And the Cosmos are certainly making sure that they want this U.S. Cup. They have not been hiding the fact that a deep run in the U.S. Cup is certainly something that they're looking forward to this year, and to take on New York City FC in their fourth round game is going to be quite interesting. It's actually going to be at Stewart Stadium instead not at Yankee Stadium. Thank God. Yeah, Yankee Stadium. Thank God they're not playing that game at Yankee Stadium. That would have been a nightmare. Because that place is certainly not a football stadium. I can't wait for NYCFC to get the hell out of there because that place is not football ready. Man, I honestly can't stand the fact that they even use that field. Seeing them play on 70 yards, it's just where do you move? How do you play football on that? I just don't get it. But yeah, there were a bunch of upsets. Fort Lauderdale ended up losing to Charleston. Charleston's in the lower tier leagues as well. Atlanta ended up sneaking by Chattanooga late in that game as well. They had to go to extra time. I know Louisville City took out Indy 11. That was certainly seen as an upset. And they're Pittsburgh beating Tampa Bay. The Richmond Kickers taking out Jacksonville. I mean, you know what? What's that phrase again? Any given day? Yeah, anything can happen. And that's exactly it in these one-and-done situations. Some of these teams, you know what, they may not be making money because it's, not professional down there. But at the same token, these USL and PDL development leagues and all these kind of guys down there, that you know, they're not scared. They're certainly not about to say, "Oh boy, we're so overwhelmed by these North American Soccer League and MLS teams." The intimidation factor is certainly not there like it used to be. And it's cool, you know. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time with the guys we have on the Into the Cosmos podcast about the discrepancy between MLS, NASL, and even these lower tier leagues, you know, PDL and USL, and you know what? Really, to be honest with you, the discrepancy is not as large as people may think. You know, we've discussed it plenty around here. Of course, we've mentioned it many times. We spoke to that with Phil Schoen from beIN Sports as well. He came on, and we both talked about the discrepancy and how it's really not that far from each other, and we're seeing it. Right here in the U.S. Cup, Carolina Railhawks losing to Charlotte as well. Those are Austin beating San Antonio. I mean, almost every North American Soccer League team got knocked out of the U.S. Cup in their first game, except for the Cosmos, which is big. I'm sure that they're looking at that as, you know, seeing everybody else around the North American Soccer League taking a loss is certainly something that's tough for them. But getting back to North American Soccer League this weekend, Ottawa Fury is going to be taking out Edmonton at Ottawa. Tampa Bay is going to be facing Indy 11. Carolina and Jacksonville, who we mentioned both just got knocked out of the U.S. Cup, will be facing each other in Jacksonville. The Cosmos will be facing Minnesota at GCS Park, and that's NCS Park, I should say. That's it's going to be a great game. It really is going to be a fantastic game. I don't know if Minnesota was caught looking ahead to the Cosmos and how they lost to St. Louis, but I doubt Coach Manny Lagos is going to actually have any of that. You know, so I'm sure he's pretty upset about losing that game. And Fort Lauderdale and San Antonio will round out Week 8. Week 9 in the North American Soccer League, like I mentioned, the Cosmos have a 6-point lead on Minnesota. So the heads-up match between the two is going to be huge this weekend. Of course, the Cosmos, you know, they can clinch it all right here, even with a draw. I mean, Tampa Bay's right there as well. But yeah, that's all the Cosmos need to do is get one more point. 19 points should do it, and that'll get them into the semifinals at the end of the year in the playoffs. And, of course, Coach Gio Savarese is simply very content about that. Like I said, we spoke to him many a time this year, and the team's playing pretty well. They put a perfect performance up against San Antonio last weekend, and they're a 3-0 win. So it was definitely good things going on for the Cosmos right now. And as we speak, I should say that they're actually in Brooklyn, over at the Brooklyn Bridge on Pier 5, doing all their practice session and Q&A stuff for all the stuff they have going on for this week, which is fantastic. It's, you know, now, of course, the Cosmos are going to Cuba. They'll be playing on Tuesday. There's a One World Sports showing at Four Points Hotel in Long Island City, which I will be attending, it looks like. So it's I love going to those kind of things. It's fun. It's just, you know, obviously we can't make it to Cuba because I don't have the $3,000 to lay out just to shell out going to Cuba for a few days. It's, man, a lot of money, obviously. I mean, and it's cool that the Cosmos even offered the package. Just, you know, it's a $3,000 package. Of course, they pay for the hotel, your food. They pay for everything. I mean, it's certainly all-inclusive for the most part. But, yeah, it's just a little too busy around here to be taking trips to Cuba, and obviously getting in and out of Cuba is not exactly easy. But, you know, obviously they're getting more lenient. It's nice to see soccer being played in Cuba with an American team. The first time since, 99, I think, that the team has actually gone down there and be able to play and take part in anything in Cuba. So Cosmos will be in Havana. And that's what the Cosmos do. They travel. I mean, you know, they were in El Salvador, of course. They played Hong Kong for spring season as well, spring training. So it's good to be with the Cosmos. Of course, the MLS has a big full slate on deck this weekend. Dallas is going to be taking on Kansas City at Sporting Park. And Saturday, of course, it's, we got 7 big games, San Jose and Toronto. Toronto obviously back at home now, finally. Boy, starting that season with 7 straight MLS road games and then actually having to play their Canadian championships on the road as well. They actually played their first 8 games away from home. And San Jose walking in there playing pretty well right now. Real Salt Lake's going to be taking on Vancouver at BC Place. Philadelphia is going to be taking on United at RFK Stadium. The Houston Dynamo are headed to Yankee Stadium to take on New York City. Columbus Crew is going to be facing Orlando City at the Citrus Bowl, which, boy, those fans finally got to celebrate a win with their team. boy, and of all teams, the Los Angeles Galaxy walked in there a couple of weekends ago and got absolutely manhandled by Orlando. 4-0. That's pretty embarrassing. Of course, now Keane and Omar Gonzalez are both making their way back for L.A. L.A. is going to be facing New England on Sunday. The Red Bulls are also going to be facing Seattle on Sunday. And rounding out the Saturday matches, though, Montreal, Chicago, and Portland and Colorado are going to be facing off. I'm definitely going to have some plays offered for that. If you'd like to check out the Diamond Sportsbook at DSI.com, you can see how I do all the MLS previews for every single game over there. And, it's really sad to see the European leagues coming to an end, though. So like I mentioned the last weekend for Serie A. And it's going to be tough to predict what's going to happen in Serie A. If you look at the lines, for all the lines in all these games, obnoxious lines, it's going to be very hard to find any real true value in Serie A this weekend from a betting perspective. And now, at the same token, it almost makes you think, being a soccer handicapper might be one of the toughest things to do because you just never know what's going on. And now, of course, the Champions League final is going to be coming up here on June 6th with Juventus and Barcelona, and that's going to be a huge match, and I highly doubt there's going to be any fixes going on with that. There's no way. And that's going to be a fantastic match. Of course, Barcelona walks in there. Favorites, why wouldn't they? But, big weekend ahead. Big couple weeks ahead. But like I said, that the women's World Cup taking part in Canada is going to be something that everyone's going to have an eye on. Of course, like I mentioned, the Americans are looking for their third title. The Germans are also going to be looking for their third title. And it's amazing to think there's only been 6 women's World Cups. You think back of all the stuff that with Lindsay and all the stuff that went on with the U.S. Cup back in the day, or when the U.S. women won in '99, and that's so fun. Again, I'm really looking forward to that myself. I know I personally can't wait for all that kind of stuff. But, let's throw out some plays this weekend. Like I mentioned, the MLS, Kansas City and Dallas, I predict there's going to be a few goals there. We saw Kansas City actually put together a pretty nice performance last week, but something tells me we're going to be seeing goals in this Friday match with Dallas and Kansas City on Telemundo. And, that Columbus-Orlando City match is going to be interesting as well. Columbus is certainly struggling there right now. It's just not playing as well. And their coach is pretty pissed off about it. I saw a couple of comments that he made about his team not playing well. He's jumping on them. And, hey, you know what? It's the MLS. You're going to have to do a little bit better than you're doing now. And, if you look at the standings, Seattle's obviously jumped up to first place with their win. They overtook Dallas and Vancouver with their win last weekend against Colorado, and the 1-0 win that came pretty late. And Obafemi Martins, I know, is still questionable to be back, but I saw Chad Marshall is actually going to be making his way back to Seattle this week, and they're almost full complement. Of course, the Obafemi Martins injury is certainly something to keep an eye on. Like I mentioned, Dallas and Vancouver are both in second and third place in the Western Conference, and LA got right back into that. It's amazing. Back in the early going, we were talking about how so many coaches and so many players were saying, you know what, even with a poor start this year, with the 6 teams making the playoffs in each conference, a poor start really won't hurt anybody. And it looks like some of these teams, like LA. LA has been miserable on the road this year, but they're still at 20 points, and they're in 4th place, tied with Vancouver. And all it took was their last 2 wins. Now they're on a 2-game win streak, and they're right in the thick of it. That's all it took was a 2-game win streak, and now you're right back in the thick of the race. So it's amazing how a couple of wins here and there basically just put your season right back on track. Of course, New York City and Montreal still struggling, but Montreal hasn't played. They've only played 7 games to everybody else's 12 and 13 games, and they came out after taking a long break from MLS play. Now they've won 2 straight, looking fantastic, scoring goals. Montreal certainly scoring goals. But and New York City, again, is struggling at the bottom of the table. They came into the league and had a lot of hype about New York City with David Villa and all the experience coming out. I know Frank Lampard is going to be joining the club here pretty quick, and that's obviously going to help them a little bit. But they have a ways to go. 1 win. We know Coach Price is certainly going to start walking in the panicking mode here. How do you not panic at some point when you only have 1 win through 12 games played and you've only scored 9 goals and given up 16? You cannot win in any league when you're dealing with a -7 ratio. That's not good. And they just can't seem to put it all together. Even the draw that they had against Chicago Fire, which I couldn't even believe that match. Chicago goes up 2-0, and they go up a man on the red card because the penalty kick converted, made it 2-0, and then New York City scores 2 goals, down a man. To tie that game with Chicago, I jumped all over Chicago. I gave them a pretty good ration on my preview for that match last weekend. I was just like, are you kidding me? How do you invest in a team that just drew with a New York City club after having a 2-0 lead and playing 11 versus 10? Like, how can you invest money in a club like that? Of course, they ended up drawing with Columbus, and But it's good to see Montreal getting back on track. They certainly have done a lot. The Canadian Championships, they're going to be going back and forth with Vancouver for the Canadian Championship title. They're going to have a home and home series here pretty quick soon. That's Vancouver and Montreal. It's going to be quite a matchup because, of course, Vancouver's playing pretty well this year. Like I said, they're tied with LA up at in third place in the Western Conference. They're playing, they're certainly not playing well right now. I mean, Vancouver's certainly falling apart. They came up, that 1-0 result against Colorado was pretty disheartening for sure to be scored on like that. And all right, let's get everybody out of here. I know, I certainly just wanted to highlight this scandal we have going on here and get everybody ready for the World Cup in Canada, the Women's World Cup. Which, again, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. It's something that it's a big thing. When the Men's World Cup is here, obviously everything stops, and it's the women's game isn't obviously at anywhere near quite that level yet. But at the same token, you know what? A lot of people are going to have their eyes on what goes on. Of course, Team USA is going to have their supporters only being a nation away from Canada, so you'd imagine that the U.S. team is going to have quite a bit of supporters in their travels all through Canada. It's fantastic stuff. Of course, we wish the U.S. team good luck, and we wish the Canadian team good luck as well. It's North America, and we certainly support all North American football here to get more Sports World Tour. And all right, let's get everybody out of here. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. Sorry we missed you last week. A lot going on, but. Everybody, glad to be back. Hopefully, we took the time to listen to the show. We certainly appreciate you doing that, and we'll catch you right here next week on the Get More Sports World Tour Soccer Podcast. You know what we're going to leave you with, because we leave you with the sound of the Vuvuzela every week.